And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to week 3 of the SCC. We've just had a really interesting game between Hype Unit and Locked and Goated. We're about to jump in with Baskin and the boys as they go up against your best buds. Now, Lemmy Wormy, are you excited? I'm excited.
This is going to be a great set, and your best buds isn't a new team to the SCC at all. This is Bloogie and the Woogies from last phase, but they unfortunately did lose Bloogie as he transitioned over to Elevate. So they've got a new mid laner now, and they're going to be pushing through this phase as successfully as you might hope. But how successful can they really be up against Baskin and the boys?
Well, I mean, it's going to be difficult. Baskin and the boys have been showing that they are still one of the top teams in the SCC at the moment. Let's have a look at their draft for game 1. But like I said, it's going to be difficult for your best buds. This team definitely no laughing matter. Definitely one that they want to be taking seriously. But I don't know, with the right comp and with a little bit of elbow grease, I think they might just be in with a shot.
Absolutely. I think we're going to see a lot of just normal bans here, but actually the first one on the board is going to be the Ratatosker. So as soon as I said it,
normal bans
there. But when we saw Mask loves this character, he will pick it up pretty much regardless. And with the flexibility that Ratatosker now has, thanks to him being able to pick up 4 different kinds of acorns, he really can be a menace. So it's all about picking and choosing. But instead of the focus being onto the namesake of Baskin and the boys, it's going to be onto Mask as yet another jungler is taken out.
And on the flip side, we're going to see Freya and Persephone bans. So maybe targeting Erupt Crimson, maybe targeting Griff, maybe a little bit of both. But pretty standard stuff, as you said, other than the Ratatosker. Pretty much exactly what we would expect to see. Freya really strong, Persephone really strong. Ow, he's a dragon.
Yeah, Cthulhu is a squid, more or less, and so he'll be taken away too. And we tend to see this kind of duality here in the SCC and SPL, where you take away the Cthulhu and you pick up the Amaterasu. And looking at the picks and bans here, that might be the case, but Yamoja is still available as well. So honestly, your best buds are probably going to pick her up here.
If this isn't first pick Yamoja, then I think your best buds are just setting themselves up for some upset spaghetti, because we've seen Not Gino on the Yamoja. Somehow, that was a thing that was allowed, and he absolutely slapped with it. But your best buds aren't going to make the same mistake, and they're going to pick it up themselves, so no regrets there. Let's see what Baskin and the boys are going to react with.
They're probably going to opt for a jungler here, I would say. They want to get Mask's pick early, but they could also go for Meerkat as well, just because Meerkat likes to go for some of the safer picks. Just get him something, put something on the board so he's able to keep that pressure. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see him an Amaterasu here either, just because it's so powerful right now. And
there it is.
Hello, I know what I'm talking about, I guess.
That makes up for you saying normal bans earlier.
Yeah,
you got 2 correct predictions. You got the jungle pick, you got the Amaterasu. Good job, Lemmy. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
My heart goes out. But the response here is going to be Jingwei to couple up in this dual lane with Yamoja. So really enjoying that. I think this is a really strong dual lane. Habwa being picked up here by Best Buds. Now this is a pretty flexible pick. We've seen it in the jungle. We've seen it in the mid lane. We've seen it in the solo lane. Not in SPL, but it's a thing that can happen.
It can go pretty much anywhere.
Yeah. Interesting pick.
I think that it works really well against this Nemesis, and I'm surprised to see them not really target that one out, since they were more than willing to take out Olorun, Freya, and Persephone. But of course, you take the strong picks for yourself, and of course, this soul, I would almost certainly guess, is going straight to Meerkat. Meerkat, as a player, is all about the safe picks. He'll play the Jingwei, the Hachiman, the Shibalanke, and then, of course, this Soul. And that's what Soul brings to the table. She is pretty unkillable in the beginning of the game, especially with that Disapparate. So that's going to definitely be the Meerkat pick, if you ask me.
I mean, for sure, I completely agree with you. I think more than likely Soul goes to Meerkat here, but we could definitely see Baskin on as well. We've seen his capability on these mid-lane magical ADCs. So definitely no laughing matter there. Neith is going to be banned by Best Buds, but I want to talk about this Arthur ban from Baskin and the boys. Arthur?
Yeah,
Did I miss something?
I'm trying to think of it, because Arthur, of course, is pretty good if you go into that Soul Eater build. It kind of does reflect the Gladiator Shield days of old, but at this point, no Gladiator Shield of that kind remains, and instead we've got a more expensive tier 3 at a minute's place, and he can be dangerous if he gets a lead, but I don't think he's going to be able to get one up against what Baskin and the boys already have, but taking it away just for safety as they lock in the Cabrakan. Is this Cabrakan support?
Ask me later? I don't know. This is okay. This is interesting. Cabrakan obviously could be flexed support, could go solo potentially if they want to run the Amaterasu support. Who, hey, listen, I think Amaterasu is a pretty good support, but Thor tier going to be picked out last for best buds. I like this combo. Thor jungle, tier solo. Pretty much confirms that Habwa is going to be playing mid unless they're going to do something crazy. Tier mid, Habwa jungle, Thor solo, but that's crazy talk. That's Blazy from week 1 talk right there. Cupid is going to be picked up last from Baskin and the boys. So this is Baskin. Cupid is Baskin.
Sure. These characters, we all know where they're going, honestly, except for maybe the Cabrakan and Anama. They could do a little flip-flop, but this is going to be such an interesting comp because Baskin and the boys basically got everything that they wanted, aside from maybe, they picked up Cabrakan kind of out of the blue, right? But at the same time, it definitely has merits, especially with the comp that they've drafted.
For sure, and, we'll have to see how it works as we flop into game number 1 between these two teams. My only problem with the Cabrakan, right, and where they picked it up, is that the only person they're really 100% stopping from going anywhere, the two people, is Gamma and Erupt Crimson. Everyone else, in one way, shape, or form, can get over those walls. So if Gino's going to be on this Cabrakan, I'm looking for him to bully Gamma into the ground.
That is definitely the thought process, right? Because Gamma is going to have to be very careful with how he plays it. He's picked up the sprint here, which, we typically see emojis go for beads if they're worried about a lot of early CC, but not this case. I don't know how I feel about the sprint. I think it's definitely an okay thought process because think of all the slows coming out from Baskin and the boys. I mean, they've got the Nemesis ult, the Fields of Love, and of course the Stellar Burst coming out from Meerkat. So having that ability to cleanse out those slows will be really nice, but Gino surprisingly actually picked up the third ability, which can easily get canceled out by Gamma's Moonblast. So they're going to lose a little bit of pressure here.
Yeah, it is interesting to see that. I think probably the better call there would have been the clap. But, he does what he does. Now, this is a good point to mention that, Cabrakan, he's seen a couple changes. So, those tremors not going to be spinning those minions round anymore. So we'll see how that's going to impact the strategy. Probably won't, but you never know.
At this point, they're going to have to really be focused on getting to this mid-game. As soon as Mast and Baskin hit level 5, I just assumed that Gino's going to be on his way over to mid, and they're going to triple ult Erupt Crimson. That's kind of going to be their game plan, right? They've got to find someone easy to pick off, and certainly this Habwa can be if he's not got the Crushing Wave.
It's definitely either got to be that, or Mast comes over and they just full commit onto Gamma here. Okay, Gino. Starts up the tremor and then instantly stops them from coming out. So that was an interesting play. Oh no.
Yeah, I do believe there might have been some issues with Cabrakan a little bit recently, so perhaps, he hadn't realized that at this point, but even still, the character is very strong, especially with someone immobile, so they're going to be able to find some poke here onto Gamma, but he's poking right on back.
Gamma looking like he might have been a little bit out of position there, and I think maybe with an extra hand over onto the left-hand side, he could have definitely been punished for it, but now Gino hits level 3. He's really in a disadvantage here against this Yamoja. As we keep saying, so many things that Gamma can just do to stop him. He wants to go after Griff. Griff has his own knock-up to stop him from doing that. Moonstrike Beam, as you said, the Riptide. So, I'm not really sure that this is the right lane to be in for Gino, but looking at that mid lane again later.
Gino's going to have to slow it down a little bit. He has been very aggressive, and that's kind of the MO of this player. He loves to push everyone's buttons and get in their way, and that's definitely what Cabrakan can bring to the table, but it's all going to be around working with the enemy, and Annenstar here on his classic Thor. This could be good looks for him, especially as he makes his early rotation.
I do want to, really happy to see him back on this Thor, as Meerkat is getting potentially looked at here. Wall's going to come through, but to separate's going to stop any aggression there. But much preferred to see Andy on this Thor than the last time we saw your best buds when he was playing exclusively tier in the jungle and just not really finding any luck with it. So already seeing a much improved impact from Andy.
Yeah, I feel a lot better about Andy on this jungle role this time around. We did see them switch up the roles a little bit on this squad recently, and it wasn't to their success. So now that they're finally back to where they belong, we love to see it from these guys, and they've been performing consistently better. And honestly, them not dying this early in the game has been a boon for them already. So if they can keep it up and slow down the pace to get their late game comp online, it's going to be good looks for them.
I mean, potentially, but on the same vein, Baskin and the boys also playing a really late game comp with this Amaterasu and the Soul, especially. I mean, the same can't really be said for Baskin, but like there are some pretty heavy hitters in the late game on Baskin and the boys. So I don't know. I think in the late game, it's definitely going to come down to these team fights more than anything.
It's all going to be about who either side can pick. They've got the tier on your best buds, and that could really bring it to some of the characters on Baskin and the boys. If they get picked out and isolated, they're not going to be able to run away as easily, but Baskin right now is giving it to a Rep Crimson. He's been very accurate with these heart bombs, and this is a pick that Baskin has gone back to week over week. So at this point, putting the pressure onto Crimson, but his own wall stopped him from being able to bring out that wave.
No.
So unfortunate there for Crim.
I mean, yeah, there's what can you say about that? Andy just, well, the miscommunication more than anything between the two of them, just not really being able to find anything. The ultimate, though, I think it almost saved him, if I'm honest with you. I'm not sure how well it would have gone for Rep Crimson going in on that, so probably for the best that he was forced out, but still going to be unfortunate. But as you said, yes, Baskin showing his tenure on this Cupid pick. He seems right at home at the moment. He's bullying people. He's throwing out heartthrobs everywhere.
That's what Cupid does, right? He's got a little bit of sustain in his kit for his team, so he kind of can bring out a little bit of the hell nuisance that we saw from the last game, but certainly a lesser extent. It's got a couple of heals rather than a lot, but that's not the big deal right now. His ultimate's coming out left and right on both sides, and they're trying to kill Gamma.
Andy was off the mark there with that ultimate, not quite able to save the life of his support, but Griff is going to be able to pick up the follow-up kill onto Gino, so support for support so far. So it's going to be pretty even, but here in the mid lane, Crimson forced to beads there, the heart bomb, but here comes the dash from Baskin. Auto attack is off the mark, and he decides against going any further, but back here on the left-hand side with that purple buff, his dash is down, but I'm not really sure there's too much Best Buds can do to save this purple.
They did actually save it there. A nice auto getting woven in there by Griff secures it for the Jingwei. And not a lot of mana is left for either of the gamers left on this duo side. So they're going to evacuate real soon, but Mir can't actually make it soloed.
Well, I guess he got soul owed. I don't have anything to say about that. He just overstayed. That's unfortunate there for Meerkat. Stays too long. They do pick up the purple buff, though, Best Buds as well. So a saved purple and a kill. Best Buds are going to be happy about that. 2-1.
Unfortunate death and unfortunate pun. Both things combined is going to create a lead there for Griff. He is 2-0-0 at this point, and that's a scary look for a Jingwei because you'd almost think that Soul has the earlier pressure at this point, but it's not the case. Max has got to make a move here as he's getting so low, but Andy has no more abilities to follow up.
Just unfortunate that Andy not seeming like he's being too comfortable on his mechanics today. Does miss that first double tap, so Master's going to be able to get out. That's very unfortunate for him. But it does look like they are going to be able to secure the blue buff off of it, so they don't lose any lives. They don't gain any lives, but they do pick up a blue buff. But over in the mid lane, once again, Crimson is being aggressed on, but this time he's going to fall down. Crimson!
No ult, no beads available for him, but the turnaround is here, and now it's going to be Baskin in a lot of trouble. Waves come out, but they're not even needed. It's just there to put him in a zone where it's so easy for Andy to line it up, and clearly this man has played Thor for years and years and years, and his tenure on this character does show. Able to knock him out with a nice one and then a spinneroo. And so that's the end of the life of Baskin, and what a character to kill too, because that's going to give him a ton of gold, especially because he's been constantly pressuring out Crimson.
It also gives Crimson a little bit more time to try and find some extra little bit of farm. Try and catch up Gino, though. Get caught out in the jungle here. I'm not sure he has too many places to go. He's going to fall down nice and quickly there to erupt. So that's going to be a little boon for him as well. Now putting himself at level 8 as opposed to Baskin's level 9. So definitely catching up. I don't think he could have asked for more space to get kills.
Yeah, I mean, that was just poor positioning there from Gino. He didn't have any way to really save his own life. He is playing Cabrakan, who's got no leaps or dashes, and it's all about staying safe and jumping in when your whole team is there. And clearly, no one from Baskin and the boys was there, but so far, it's been all your best buds. There have been a couple of really great shining moments from Baskin and the boys, but it's basically been on the back of Baskin, and that's how it typically seems to be with this squad. It's the Baskin carry project, and everyone else is in the backpack.
It's the boys featuring Baskin. They know who their leader is. Baskin definitely feeling himself this game. He's done nothing but be angry at Erupt Crimson for existing. So, I mean... And Best Buds, Baskin and the boys, they're doing a lot really, really well to follow up on these engagements. It's just unfortunate they're not really finding their footing, as you said. So what kind of things should they be looking to do here to maybe make up some of this space?
They've really got to be playing around what Gino's able to do, because this Cabrakan has not really made its mark yet, except for giving the enemy team some farm. So if they're able to use this wall successfully, they're going to be able to find success. It's just been about trying to find a good place for them to use it.
Over here on the right lane is potentially where they were looking for it, but rotations from both of the supports is going to cancel out any aggression. Riptide is going to find Gamma safe, and it's going to be Griff looking at these Oracle Furies. It's just a big farm fest at the moment from Best Buds, just trying to find these small little victories. But Aquarius being really aggressive onto Uzi, and with the help of his jungler, he's going to manage to pick up that kill. Another kill credited to Anderster. It's 2-0-2 on this Thor. That's definitely what you want to see.
Looking good right now for Andy, and on the other side, Mast really has not shown a lot of presence. He must have used the ultimate once or twice, because he's been a farm machine at this point, very top of the net worth chart, but no kills yet to his name. It's just been all about these subtle little invades back and forth, and you know, he has gotten the kill to his name and is going this more attack oriented. Nope, but a nice
Baskin.
there. Baskin's in trouble.
The wall is going to be beautiful to stop Baskin from getting away, catches the dash, but now it's going to be Crimson who's going to be in trouble. Mars turns around onto Anderster, does pop the ultimate. Slice and Dice is going to come through, but not quite enough damage to finish him off. Now it's Gino. Once again, these walls from Andy really doing the work, forcing him out. Aquarius is going to be doing just that with Fearless, and that's going to be the end of the fight there. But, I mean, mid laner for mid laner, Baskin and the boys definitely taking the short end of the stick.
At the very least, Uzi is over in the soul lane, getting a ton more farm, and he is one more step closer to being able to sledge abuse. But at the same time, Aqua did get to pick up a kill for himself, so that will put him at the very essential level 12 mark. And we talk about this all the time, but once people hit this level 12 marker at 11 or so minutes, that's when the real fights start to break out, because now they've got their second relics available, and there's a little more safety and aggression coming from both sides when that happens. So maybe we'll see some blinks, some beads, some aegises, but either way, we're going to see a lot more fighting, and it's going to be all centered around this Gold Fury.
I do just wonder, as once again, Baskin is getting pressured out. The Moonbeam just not quite on the mark enough there. Baskin forced to pop the beads and dashes away. Luckily for him, avoiding another spill, but the beads are going to be picked up by Tyr, as you said, so he's going to get some survivability. But more movement speed. Now, movement speed Tyr. I want to talk about this. This is like the classic Tyr build now, right? Popularized by Solo or Troll.
It's fine. I don't think it's as effective as it was before with a new item like Sledge coming into the battleground, so having that available is really nice. But again, moving fast is never bad. Movement speed is such a strong stat in SMITE, but hold that thought real quick, as Baskin might get taken down by the wave.
Once again, these waves really not favoring Baskin. He's not feeling very good. A little bit seasick is the little devil boy. He's going to take another spill, and with this space, Best Buds could be looking to take a Gold Fury, but instead deciding just to secure their own red buff and go back to farming, because this is Farming Simulator, ladies and gentlemen.
No mana on Krim, half health on Gamma, no mana on Griff either. They just can't really risk it at this point, but Mask does slice and dice up the enemy, but it's not going to be good enough as the carpet does come out and lets Erupt Crimson walk away scot-free, and you can just see there the back and forth in that fight was kind of insane, right? But it did favor your best buds because, again, Baskin got put in the ground. He's died 3 times this set, which is honestly a lot more than we typically see him die.
It just goes to show your best buds are kind of going, right, we need to pick on Baskin because he is, as we see in most of these games from Baskin and the boys, not the hyper carry. All of these players really, really, really talented, but Baskin is definitely the backbone of this team. So by putting a lot of pressure onto him, they're almost looking to try and collapse this, but despite all of that, Gold Fury is going to fall down, and look at this gold lead now from Baskin and the boys. They may be looking a bit rough in these fights, but in terms of the golden experience, they're doing just fine. But Uzi, he looks like he could fall down here, and he's going to do just that.
Uzi in the comms right now. Why are there 4 people in my lane, guys? Why aren't we getting anything for this? Oh wait, Gold Fury already was taken by them, so they will at least get something for that, and they did also trade out that tier 1 tower, so in my opinion, Uzi dying there is not a bad look, and especially if they're able to get either this tower or the kill onto Griff here, but it is going to cost Blink ult from Gino to make it happen, but here comes the Soul passive doing numbers on this tower, so 2 towers, and a couple of ultimates back and forth, so they do take a W there, but Andy's looking to turn it around.
2 is the magic number, as that's exactly how many teammates are going to be coming in from your best buds to try and counter this tier 1 play. Meerkat looks like he could definitely be the first person to fall down here, and he's going to do just that as Griff's bolt is going to find him. Now the Moonbeam is going to be strong there onto Gino, stunning him out, and with another stun from Anders's wall, I don't think there's any place for Kabrakan to run. Jingwei is going to dash in and claim an unofficial double for Griff. It's going to be a very big boon for the Jing, and now Erupt Crimson in some trouble again, but does, thanks to the wet tissue, as Hindu likes to call it, find his way out of the Fields of Love.
Baskin now trying to find some kind of turnaround here as he lost 2 members. 2 members of the boys fell down over on the left-hand side, so trying to find some way to take it back here. But as you guys can see, this was actually huge for Griff because I do believe he got both of these kills. So 4-0 right now is this Jingwei, and even though he's just barely behind in XP, this is so good for a Jingwei to be at, especially when she's stacking up the rage.
For sure. Sorry, for sure. And Griff definitely looking like he's probably in the best position out of the players on Best Buds, other than potentially Gamma, who is sitting about 2 levels up from his counterpart. But despite that, Pyrogiant is going to fall down. There it is again. Pyrogiant, Lummy.
Pyromancer, is what it actually is. So it has been taken out there, and it looks like it's going to be going over to Baskin and the boys. So, they do find something, right? There's never a moment where Best Buds get something and Baskin doesn't either. There's always a trade-off here and there. So either way, they're really going to have to be balancing these trades coming into the late game because we're getting to that magic number, that 20 or so minutes where teams are within striking distance of the Fire Giant. And that first Fire Giant is so important because statistically, if we're looking at it just based on numbers, the team that gets the first Fire Giant is way more likely to win the game than the other side.
And, well, looking at the economies here, despite being up in experience, despite being up in experience, your Best Buds definitely lacking in gold. And, actually, XP difference does favor Baskin and the boys, even if just so slightly, although you wouldn't be able to tell it from the level differences on each of these players.
Yeah, they certainly are a little bit back and forth when it comes to the levels, but it's a give and take, right? Maybe Gino's down a level, but that means that Meerkat's up 1. Yeah, so what, right? That's exactly what Gino's there to do, and that's what supports are doing, period. They give so that others may take, and that's the whole point, right? You want your carries to carry, and unfortunately, this Kabrakan has not been working out in their favor, but at the very least, he is shoveling farm into his carry's mouths, and that's exactly what you like to see.
I love that image of Kabrakan just using his big tectonic plates to just scoop food. And scooping food is potentially what Anderson is trying to do to himself as he dunks down yet again onto Baskin, but thanks to a good ultimate there from Nemesis. He's going to have to be backed away. Gino now on the offensive with the rest of the boys. Gamma, the only one left in this engagement, but speed is just going to be so blinding, and everyone's just going to be backing up. Now it's going to be Uzi who's putting the aggression in. Gamma is going to fall down to Baskin. First kill to go now in this team fight, and the tier 2 towers being aggressed onto. Doesn't look like Baskin and the boys want to put any more gas on the pedal. They're going to take that tower and potentially look for either fire or gold.
Primal Fury is going to be up pretty soon, but the real reason that Baskin and the boys won that fight so handedly is that Meerkat showed up, and Griff unfortunately was not there, but we can see here from the sights of Baskin as he's just tearing through every single member. Fields of Love got used so early in that fight, but basically it didn't even matter because they were able to spread everyone out so nicely. Gamma was doing his best to run away, but his teammates didn't turn around to help him because they were getting zoned by Uzi.
It was a very, well, messy I don't think is the right word. Spread out I think is the correct term. Just like you said, just everyone around, not really finding anything until, well, Gamma fell and the tier 2 tower did as well. And with this extra little bit of space that Best Buds seem to have generated in the jungle, they're going to look to start up the Fire Giant, but I don't know, Lermy, this feels like a bait to me.
It certainly is, as Crimson doesn't even have ultimate yet, but Andy is showing off that he has his, and it's going straight down onto Mask, who used the blink in response. Maybe is an L there for Andy, who is 3 levels down now and without an ultimate, but here come the water walls, which means everybody's locked inside, and they at least are able to get out, but that's one ult for none. All they have to trade for that is a blink.
Definitely a win for Baskin and the boys there, as they have not only one of the big engagers on your Best Buds, but also one of the big kind of space controllers from Gamma being taken off the board there as well. So Baskin and the boys definitely looking like they're in the correct position for this Fire Giant dance. We'll have to see what they do with it, as everyone's kind of back to base at the moment, and it's just going to be whoever makes it back into mid first to try and claim that little bit of extra space around fire. No wards, though.
I mean, you say that, right? But honestly, I expect Griff to be hanging out on this left-hand side. He's doing a great job of keeping the farm up, considering that this soul has kind of been on the money the whole time. But look at this. They're actually forcing the pressure onto Aquarius, who does still have beads, and there he pops them. But there's 4 members chasing you down and actually make that 5, and down he goes. And meanwhile, Griff once again split pushing this left-hand side.
They're in the trees, man! They're in the trees! As members of Baskin and the boys just pouring out of the jungle to kill the Soul Laner from Best Buds there, and they're gonna do just that and claim a Fire Giant along the back of it, but teleporting into the left-hand side is Uzi. Does pop Thorns there to try and stop Griff, and Griff is gonna take the hint and just barely leave the tier 2 tower in the left-hand side with some HP. He'll be back later to finish the job, but for now, back to base.
They gotta be a little defensive here, right? There's only 2 tier 2 towers remaining for your Best Buds, and honestly, they could pick a fight around them. They've shown that Gamma is really proficient at throwing up the walls and locking people in, so if they can manage to trap someone in tower, that could be a really good look for them to turn it around, but at the same time, it's going to be incredibly dangerous as multiple members of Baskin and the boys do continue to reach that level 20 mark. We see that Mask is there already. Meerkat's up next, and then I'd assume that Baskin's really close by, but they're grouping up around this mid lane. Do you think they're going to go straight for this Phoenix?
I mean, it's definitely a potential, and talking about Mast, he's been the silent killer of this game. We haven't really seen him make any flashy plays, but 4-0-1 on the Nemesis, so he's definitely not been without impact, but no Phoenix, unfortunately. It would have been cool to see them just run it straight down mid, but instead, taking the more measured approach, potentially looking for this tier 2 tower over in the left-hand side, with Meerkat helming the assault alongside Baskin. With these 2 hunters, I don't think any structure will be a trouble for Baskin and the boys, and, well, this tier 2 should prove it.
Yeah, 2 hunters plus soul passive plus Uzi's power boost. Yeah, no shot any structure is living
And
through
Shoguns.
that. Oh yeah, and Shoguns to boot. All of that combined, by these powers combined, we have the best structure pushing team in the video game, and that's exactly what they've been doing, but I think they're going to hold off on this push at least a little bit. You can see that Mask is lingering over by that right-hand side, so they're more so going to be waiting for someone on your Best Buds to either make a move or just allow Mask to split push.
Well, both junglers aren't available here. As you said, Mark split pushing and Andy clearing his speed buff at the moment. Here as well, he's hovering around the mid lane, but that looks like where the engagement could happen as Baskin's made the rotation in, and Thor could be in some danger. Does manage to find the hammer away, but I'm going to be on the mark, and as you said earlier, Baskin just does not miss these shots.
He has been incredibly accurate on this Cupid week in and week out, and now that they know where the Thor is, that means that Mask has free reign on that right-hand side, and the tower finally goes down, and now's the engage we were looking for as Gino blinks in.
Literally kicking it off as Gino rips a hole in the ground, forcing those walls up into the air goes Thor, down he comes, Gino's the first one to fall. He's going to be out of the fight now, and Erupt Crimson's going to keep on the gas, and he's going to take a kill now. Baskin falls down, but now it's the return kill. Mask does pick up one, that's going to be Erupt Crimson, but he's already done exactly what he needs to do. The wave was already down. That's all that you want from your Hubwa. He got a kill, and now it's Baskin and the boys on the retreat.
Yeah, they did end up taking out 2 members of B&B, and that means they've got to back off. But honestly, this is not a bad time for them to back off. They're going to be able to go for this Oni Fury that's just spawned, and it's going to be all on your best buds if they want to contest. And I think that they honestly could, but they've split up here. 2 in left and 2 in right, so that means 3 Oni Fury for the boys.
I'm not sure they could have really contested that. I mean, they definitely could have tried. Like, they had Griffle. I suppose the airstrike could have definitely been there to support it, but I think they made the smart play this time around, just choosing to defend, push out these waves a little bit. We don't need to be super aggressive. We held the Phoenix, and that's important. That's what we want to see from best buds at this point, right?
Yeah, as long as they don't lose a Phoenix, they're still in a pretty good spot because we've seen that Baskin and the boys are not invincible on these tower pushes. Even Baskin fell down earlier there, so Fire Giant is now about to wear off on everyone. So I'd expect that, unfortunately, this Oni Fury is not going to be used to its best extent as the minions are going to die because everybody's going to be waiting for this Fire Giant.
Well, we still got another 43 seconds, but already looking to ward up and gain this area control are Baskin and the boys. Can we have a look at the wards placed down? Just see who's been keeping that vision, and it's going to be all Gino. Look at that, 5 ahead of the nearest competitor on his team. Sorry, make that 4. I do apologize, Mask. He wants to be known that he's also placing the wards down. 17 wards, though, from Gino. That's respectable. I like me a support who gets lots of vision on the board.
Yeah, come on, Gamma. That 8's not gonna cut it, man. You gotta be warning a little bit more. And I understand, you know, they're kind of in a behind situation, considering we're looking at 13k or so in the favor of Baskin and the boys. They are certainly fighting an uphill battle, and they're gonna have to deal with this Fire Giant too, because there's just no contest around it. They're more so focused on clearing out those Oni waves, and oh my gosh, that thing got burnt down so quickly. I know it's a fire elemental, but come on, man.
Yeah, like you pointed out, alongside Uzi's passive, Shoguns, and these 2 hunters, no objective really stands a chance against B&B. But I think it was the smart play from Best Buds to just let the Fire Giant go and maybe look to just try and defend these Phoenixes. Does anyone have an Emperor's Armor? That's what I'm looking at, because I think Emperor's Armor is a little underrated in situations like this, because that extra attack speed on the Phoenix could be instrumental, but unfortunately not one available for Best Buds, as the siege is going to look to come through in a 2-pronged attack, 3 in mid, 2 in right.
Emperor's Armor just isn't going to make the cut here, as honestly, Nemean Lion is a little bit more helpful, especially up against a crit Nemesis. If you're able to make sure that those crits don't come through, you won't end up like Andy, who gets taken down right away by 2 in right.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, the Phoenix has already fallen and the fight's breaking out around it. Gino is going to get stunned on his way out. But the right-hand side Phoenix is going to fall down 2, and now Mask takes his attention onto the mid lane.
Oh my God.
Instantly, where did he go? He doesn't have a health bar left, and now it's the Titan, who's already on half HP. Oh my goodness, where did Hubwag go? That's the end of the game, Lermy.
I spoke crit Nemesis into existence, I guess, and that's why you pick up Nemean, ladies and gentlemen. You do not want to get 2-shot.
So that's why Nemesis is so powerful, right? When you build to auto-attack. We saw the cancel there from Masked, where you auto-shield auto, and it just comes out pretty much in a couple frames time. And either that was 1 big crit at the end, or 2, like, regular-sized crits just to absolutely murder Crimson, but, like, he evaporated. He was water, then he evaporated.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot more to say than that. That game plan for them just worked out perfectly. The way that they had their 2-3 split with 2 over in the solo lane and 3 over in mid distracted your best buds enough. They just were not ready for this game plan, and it just all fell apart there.
Yeah, well, let's have a look. What was the game plan for Best Buds here? Like, what was their win condition in this game?
Their defense there would have been insurmountable. If they'd been able to grab a kill or two, they could open up the pathway to a Phoenix, and that might even, net them a Phoenix. So we're getting up in the minutes there, so the respawns were going to be pretty high, but at the same time, it was a very tall mountain to climb from. There was, 13 or so K in the lead there for Baskin and the boys, even before they got that last fire giant. There's not a lot you can do to fight into that.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, we saw a lot of really good things coming out from your Best Buds. They kept getting picks. They kept picking Baskin specifically, which is good because he was the one who was always ahead. But they never really got anything from it. That was probably the biggest issue with, why we saw Best Buds so far ahead in kills, but just not really finding the golden experience that they wanted, right? Like, they never found the stuff after the stuff.
Yeah, in marketing, they call that the consumer journey. You get one thing that puts you right into the next spot, but if you don't take that final push and make the purchase, then you're not going to be able to get it into a conversion, and that's exactly what happened there, is you took something that you had really going for you and it was working out great, but you just couldn't make it do anything more than that. The stuff after the stuff was not obtained. They didn't get the win.
So, highlights. Andister definitely looking a lot better.
Oh yeah,
on Thor than he was on Tyr, so that's a good. Gino definitely did not have a bad game on this Yemoja, so if they're gonna let Yemoja back through, definitely give it back to Gino. Now, not to Gino, sorry, it's the other team. The other team had Yemoja, let me.
Gamma looked pretty good on it.
Yeah, thank you. We're my mistake. But yeah, it's definitely some really strong performances here. So I'm not sure I would change too much in picks and bans, but let's see what Best Buds decide to go with as we head into Game 2 picks and bans.
If I'm looking for anything, though, I think the Geno's probably going to ditch the Cabrakan. I don't think it really helped them out a whole lot. It just didn't do anything for them, right? It really was the masked carry project last game as he went 7-0 and whatever. It didn't even matter because he was doing a ton of damage with that crit. So maybe putting something else that's a little more facilitative than aggressive. I mean, at this point, Baskin and the boys could just run it back and do it all over again, and I wouldn't be mad.
No, absolutely not. I would not be surprised to see Baskin and the boys just draft exactly what they did last time. Even with the Cabrakan, I don't think it worked out great early, but definitely made some space for them in the late game with those walls, and definitely started out some fights. So maybe we see it again. We won't be seeing again, though, that Yemoja. Apparently, Best Buds don't want anything to do with it.
That's kind of crazy, though, because Gamma had a really good game on it. I'm surprised to see them take it away from themselves, really, because they had been allowed to have it, and I guess it didn't push them to the W, right? So maybe that's their thought process. All right, if we can't make it happen with the emoji, nobody gets it. So at this point, they're just trying to open it up for something else.
Yeah, potentially. They are also first pick, so, banning it out clearly shows to us that they have something in mind, potentially that they want to prioritize more. Maybe it's the Nemesis that we saw Baskin and the boys pick up first last game, but we'll have to see. Cthulhu's is going to be banned out second for your Best Buds. Still no love for the squid. People are finally learning how to ban him, so that's perfect. I'm really enjoying this. I've said this for the last 2 weeks, Levy, that people need to learn to ban Cthulhu, and they're doing it, so that's great. Ratatosk are being rebanned as well, so,
Another target up against Masked, and like you said, this might just be a call-out right up against the jungler who had such a good success in the last game. If anything here, this is a Nemesis pick, if you're asking me. You've got to take it away from the hand that's hot, and Mask had a successful game on it.
I completely agree. If we don't see it, maybe we see something like an Amaterasu on your Best Buds just to try and take away that solo pressure, but I think more chances than none it's going to be the Nemesis. But we'll have to see. I think it would be an interesting pick, but okay.
I don't hate it. I think it's actually pretty strong here because it does kind of the same thing that Yemoja does in getting a lot of early pressure but at the very least, it can be there towards the mid game to be able to counteract some of the pressure that another aggressive character would have. And honestly, I think it's a lot better at locking down a character like Nemesis.
But potentially, yeah, and B&B are going to pick Nemesis straight into it, so we'll have to see how they're going to play into that. I agree with you. I think Hercules is fine. I'm just not sure I would have first picked it. I think that there are definitely better options for your best buds, but Baskin and the boys definitely showing some respect over here to Erupt Crimson, picking away the Hubwa for potentially Baskin.
Yeah, I think this is something that you've got to at least keep in the back of your mind, right? If you're playing this Nemesis, Hubwa makes it so hard because both your ultimate and your 2 have got a pretty strong slow on them, and being able to cleanse those away is just so incredibly deadly up against this character. And even despite that, we saw Mask have an insane performance on it, so if we're looking at the picks up against it, I think Jingwei and Nike are 2 really strong ones, except we're now in the meta where Nike can just get eliminated by a Sunder.
I like the Birds of Prey. I think these 2 are going to be really good. I think Griff had a pretty good game on Jingwei last game.
I agree.
Definitely no complaints with his performance. Nike, I really like. Like you said, though, the ultimate is a little bit risky, so we'll have to see. And especially with Nemo, I think it's going to be a little bit of a rough pick into the Nemesis, but into the Hubwa, even into the Ganesh, I do still like it. We'll just have to see how they make use of it. Baskin and the boys, once again, opting to ban this Nuwa. Why do you think we see Nuwa being banned out by B&B?
She's just incredibly safe, right? As soon as the ultimate gets dropped by the Nemesis on her, or really anyone puts pressure on her, she presses forward and says, I'm just going to do damage to you, and you can't hurt me for a little bit of time. And by the time she does come back down from it, that Nemesis altered, whatever kind of debuff is on her, has already worn off. Her team has gotten time to catch back up to her, and she can just jump into the fog and be safe again. So just getting rid of an option that is once again very good against the Nemesis is what they're looking at here.
Fair enough. I can see your reasoning there. It's not one of our top bans, but definitely, I think, a strong pick as Thor being banned against Andister.
Love it.
What else
You know
can
who's
Andy
up, though?
play? Andy's
Al
gonna
Quan?
play cheer!
Al Quan's up. He's there, right? I mean, if Andy's got an Al Quan, now's the time to show it. It has not been banned, and it has been shown as one of the top bans. You can see it there at the center element. It has been listed there. So if he's got one, the pocket has been opened. It's time for you to pull it out.
He's gonna play Tyr, isn't he?
Oh no.
Lammy, he's gonna play Tyr. Please no. Andy, please. We care about you. King Arthur's gonna be picked up here by Baskin and the boys. So that's
Are he
interesting.
jungle?
Maybe?
I think it has to be, right?
Yeah, I guess it does, unless they're gonna run Hercules jungle, but that's okay.
Ooh.
Alright, you know what? I like this. I really like this comp from Best Buds. Finishing it up with the Kukulkan, I think is a nice touch. He's got the range up against the Hubwa, who, I mean, that's good. He's got the anti-slow on his 2 against the Nemesis. Double good. I kind of like this.
I think it's good. I'm just really concerned at how this Kukulkan's gonna fare against the heavy dive of the King Arthur, of the Nemesis, and from the long range, Rom can go up in the sky and follow up on that, and we saw how powerful that can be in our first set, and so if they play anything similar to the way that Benny Q piloted this Rom, it's gonna be bad for your Best Buds.
Well, we'll have to see. We'll take a step into game 2 here. If I can get out my words, that would be lovely. Thank you, Blazy. We'll have to see. I think Erupt Crimson has a pretty decent shot of getting away from this heavy dive if he uses the slipstream properly, if he uses the tornado properly, in order to give himself a decent escape. But I think it's really going to be down to his 3 supports. Really, if you're looking at it, it's his 3 supports, right? 3 supports just trying to keep Crimson and Griff alive in this game. It's going to be down to Aquarius and Gamma to keep the Kukulkan safe.
There's going to be a lot of setup for him, though. They've got the pluck there from Aqua, and of course the other pluck from Bandy, who has actually pulled out the Hercules jungle. It's going to be Gamma. Actually, wait, no, Andy's support. What's happening here? Are we going back to the lane switch shenanigans?
I guess so. This is... Alright, so I guess this kind of works with Andy. He's an aggressive guy. He plays aggressively, and we're going to be seeing Gamma swapping out with him, as you said, into this Nike jungle. I'm a little bit confused by this, not gonna lie. Andy looking for some aggression already over here. He's playing the Hercules exactly how he wants to be, though, so that's good. Looking for the driving strike onto the Ganesh. It's gonna be good. That damage is gonna be just fine and dandy, but a bit of an unexpected roll swap here.
Yeah, and to talk a little bit about why role swaps are just not really favored, especially when you do it kind of constantly in a team like we're seeing your best buds do, you've got to have that synergy between your support, especially when you're swapping out a role like it into the jungle. So, of course, Andy does have moderate experience in this role, but when you're kind of going back and forth, especially in the middle of a set, it's not going to necessarily work out for you very well. You've got to deal with two different people piloting two different things, like very different characters too. And honestly, this could have been a switch made in the middle of picks and bans, but if they went for it at the beginning of the game, said, all right, this first game, we're going to see Gamma playing support and going into picks and bans thinking, all right, this time Gamma's in jungle. I mean, it's an interesting strategy, but I don't think it's going to work out for them.
Yeah, I've got to be on your camp here, Lums. I don't think it's going to work out too great for them, but we'll have to see. I mean, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. So far, they've played this lane really well. They've done pretty much exactly what Hercules wants to do in lane, which is just be aggressive and be a general nuisance for the enemy team. So far, so good. It's going to be in the late game that I think we'll really see how this transition pays off. As back in the left lane, Anderson's looking to step to him, but I don't really think he can.
They are trying to be aggressive, but it's going to be hard because they've got a Jing Wei on their side. If they had a more early game ADC, I could see this Hercules support working out really well for them. But the fact of the matter is that even if we get a really nice push-pull there from Andy, it's going to be followed up into what, a knockup? A little tickle of damage?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. That's another thing that definitely could have been brought out in picks and bans, but just a second, as the purple buff is invaded. Bit of presence shown here by Gamma, but did they drop it? Was the purple buff actually picked up there? Was it dropped?
I do believe it was dropped. It just seems like no one picked it up. It must have been Andy kind of feigning that they did it at all, because if Andy had shown up with a purple buff, that means that, you know, they would know there's no purple buff there, so, you know, they could have that respect for the farm. But now that they don't actually know that it's been taken away, they could waste some time showing up at that buff again. And, you know, wasting time is the #1 goal of a lot of supports and junglers in Smite. So if they're able to pull that off, I think, honestly, that's a huge W for them.
But is that time waste worth not having purple buff on Anderson?
Honestly, I would say, yeah. I don't think Andy really benefits that much from the extra attack speed boost. And of course, shredding protections is nice and all, but we already talked about the fact that they're probably not going to be fighting a lot over here in the dual lane. They're just more so facilitating their ADCs to get online. That's going to be the job of these supports in this game. And if they're going to fight, it's going to be over in mid.
For sure. And I guess we've talked enough about the kind of wackety of Anderster and Gamma swapping, but I want to talk a little bit about the whack pick from B&B. This King Arthur. Now, oh, hold on. Actually, hold that thought. As Gamma, as you said, in the mid lane getting caught out here. Oh, I guess he doesn't have the jump available, but here comes the blink in from Anderster. Pushes Baskin against the wall, but there's going to be the Divine Judgment to try and get out some damage onto him. The Spirit of the Nine Winds isn't quite going to do the damage as Baskin finds himself in the wave, and Andy's going to fall down.
Whoa.
Gamma's getting... What? Gamma just got completely CC chained there. Did the knockup cancel out the jump?
It did momentarily, but I just want to point out there that that kill was all Gino. There's probably no way for us to easily see that, but the man grabs himself another kill, able to throw out the one. And Gino so far, I mean, my goodness, two kills to his name, even though one of them got transferred over there to Baskin. And you could tell that because Baskin was closest as we saw the nice little yarn ball creep over into the mid lane. But again, 2 kills already on the board for Baskin and the boys, and this is good looks for them.
Are we sure that Gino isn't playing the aggressive support? Aquarius soloed Ozzy in the right-hand side, and now Anderson's getting 3v1 in the left. This is just a cascade of stuff. Aquarius, though, does manage to pick up this kill, and this is going to be important because, as I was about to say, right, King Arthur, there was a whole meme when Glad Shield was a thing, that King Arthur didn't get to play until Glad Shield was on him. But now, even with Soul Eater, I just don't think King Arthur gets to play the game.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult to, especially up against the Sobek. You can see just how many times he got interrupted from using his abilities there. The knock-up on top of the pluck, and then getting slowed down there by the lurking in the waters. There's just no easy way to say it. King Arthur has a really tough time up against Sobek.
Oh no, Baskin getting pushed against the wall. Gamma does force the ult, and there's the knock-up boulder down falls Baskin. Even though he did use a lot of stuff to try and get away. That was popped by Monsieur Waveman. But he's going to fall down anyway. That's going to be a big pick for your best buds. Once again, finding Baskin, but are they going to find the stuff after the stuff?
It looks like they're going to try to, as we're seeing Ananser look around, but Gino's going to throw out the pillars, but not going to hit anyone there, as Crimson kind of just collapse in the comms easy. It's like, all right, guys, I guess the ult's down, and
it happened again!
Ozzy, man, what's happening?
Lami, it happened again!
What? Ozzy, come on!
I can't tell if Baskin and the boys are irrationally scared of King Arthur, or if Ozzy just, like, he was playing ranked, right, earlier today, and he was like, yo, guys, King Arthur is actually busted if you build him this way. And then, like, they were like, okay, guys, we gotta make sure that we're banning him. And it was just ranked. He was just playing in bronze.
Ozzy is a solid player, which is why it's incredibly surprising to see this happen, but Aqua showing up here as well means that Baskin could be in a load of trouble, and clearly, getting pushed under tower, there is nothing this poor Waterman can do except take the shot and take the L.
I mean, it's just unfortunate. Both games he's been really focused out. It almost goes to confuse me as to why he's not being a little bit more cautious, expecting this kind of aggressive playstyle from Best Buds. But I don't know. Maybe he's still trying to find this this kill onto Erupt. We saw him trying to do the solo kill all game, last game. I mean, he got one, but he wants more.
And sure, that's just the Baskin way, right? If you don't solo your enemy, did you even play the game?
That's fair. But Gino looks to try and steal away this blue buff here on the right-hand side, but isn't quite going to find anything from it, as over here on the left, Master's going to use the ultimate onto Erupt Crimson. Final Judgment coming through. Sorry, Divine Judgment. Final Judgment's a very different affair indeed. Anderson falling down low from Meerkat's shot through the walls. Now can he shoot from the sky? Going on to Gamma now, picking a different target. Roll and shot is going to be good, picking up that fourth kill on the board for B&B. Now Andy, he's getting caught up by Gino, nearly finds the kill once again thanks to those Dharmic pillars. But Griff now in some trouble. Boulder's going to come through to alleviate some pressure, but oh my goodness, Basket through the wall!
I know that kill went on to Basket, but Gino's the MVP here. He's been setting up kills left and right. Throwing out those pillars was incredibly good. Did that just take the rest of his health?
That's Solobeck for you.
Oh my gosh.
He's got no power, but because he's level 10 and Sobek has crazy Ash scaling, he's gonna take that kill, taking the life of Baskin. And I mean, that was just a bit of a mess over there in left. What? Can you break that down for me, Lemmy? What happened?
Aquarius got 2 solo kills. He makes the rotation. Ozzy once again is in danger. King Arthur, man, he's not in meta anymore. It doesn't work out very well. And surrounded by 3, I don't expect Ozzy's gonna get out of this one alive. Flex back in. 3 tanks just beating it down. That feels real bad.
There's a lot of displacement on Best Buds, and when you're on a character like King Arthur, whose whole shtick is, I'm just going to face roll, and you can't do anything about it. Well, surprise, Best Buds can do something about it, and that thing is murder.
At this point, yeah, they put him in the ground basically, 0-3 and 3 levels down, and meanwhile, this Croc is 4-0-1. He's already got 40% cooldown, so he's going to be able to make these rotations incredibly effectively, and for a Sobek to win a lane this hard up against a warrior, that's nuts.
There was an ambush sprung over here towards this red buff here, but it is going to be Baskin and the boys walking away with a kill because of it. We saw Gamma just jumping straight into the backline, trying to find a kill onto Baskin there, but it didn't quite pay off for him. Meerkat, though, could be in some trouble here. Beats forced to be popped thanks to the... Oh, my goodness. Up into the sky goes Meerkat, but it's not necessary. He's already dead, Meerkat. But Griff nearly falls down to the Astro Barrage, and...
Ooh.
These kills are coming out of nowhere, loves.
And it really seemed to be, but Gold Fury also coming out of nowhere as 4 members collapse onto it. Aqua, where are you, my pal? We need you this time. And the other times you might have argued that Aqua wasn't even needed, but now that that Gold Fury got sprung on and stolen away, I mean, maybe we see a rotation from him. I mean, there's no tower left for him to even go for it at this point. You can't really go on that tier 2 or else you're gonna ask to get collapsed on by at least one more person than you're typically up against. So, I mean, the thought process is throw Aqua away from the lane. Just let King Arthur live for a second here because he has nothing to gain.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that anyone can really gain from camping this Arthur anymore. He's so far behind at this point as Gino's stealing away the mid carpies from Gamma. That's gotta feel bad. I know that feeling as a jungle player when, you know the feeling when your farm gets stolen by the enemy support and there's nothing you can do about it because he's a higher level than you. What is going on?
Gino has been playing nuts this game, and that's all there is to it. He has been the #1 engager, #1 fight starter, whatever you want to call it. Gino has been left, right, and center doing exactly what you'd love to see a support to do, and of course, he didn't get to really show off this much last game because he was playing a pick that's definitely not on the same level, but now that he is on something a lot more meta, it's been looking so good for this support.
Yeah, I mean, Not Gino has been credited with all but one of the kills on B&B, either through kill himself, which he's a Ganesh, or through assist, which he's got a big fat 5 on. So definitely showing off all 4 of his big, muscly biceps as he's trying to carry up this team. But look at Anderson's positioning here as the invade for the red buff goes up. Look at those Dharmic Pillars, though, zoning off 3 people from your best buds, and now Anderson's all by himself. Spirit of the Nine Winds is going to come through, and it's going to connect with 2 people. Now it's Gamma's turn. He's trying to find some damage onto Baskin, and with help from 2 people, he's going to find that kill, but alternatively, 2 are going to fall down on your best buds. Could be a 3rd, and that's going to be Crimson taking that 3rd spill there, and in trading Baskin and the boys are going to pick up 3 kills of their own, and this could look like a fire giant for them. Not fire giant though, the mini one, the pyro giant.
The baby fire giant, as some like to call it. That could be the call here, but honestly, Ozzy and Mask probably do not have enough DPS between them to do it. Maybe if Gino joined up with them, but honestly, I like this game plan a little bit more. Just take away all the farm that's up. You already know that the jungler was up there and ended up dying. Well, actually, not dying, but, you know, taking the long way around. So he's not even there to pick up his own farm, and same deal goes for the Jing Wei that fell down. Now Meerkat was just able to farm up, take that whole tower, and be on his merry way.
Yeah, and he's not going to face any sort of retribution from that. He's got so much space in this jungle. Look at the ward pressure. They've got a ward all the way at the back camps in that jungle. Look at that. That is complete control of vision from Baskin and the boys, as they are just, well, not running away with this. Best Buds definitely have a way back into this, although you will have to enlighten me as to how.
They've really got to be playing a little bit more around Crimson. Crimson hit a stick ultimate last time, but Baskin was able to at least get something for it, so I think they've been doing a moderately good job right now at utilizing the strengths that Crimson brings to fights, but they haven't been pressuring objectives, and that's what I'm surprised about, is that Spirit of the Nine Winds is an insane securing ability. So the fact that they haven't been pushing objectives and really being the ones to start the fight, especially with a solo laner that's as fed as Aquarius, that's what surprises me right now.
I mean, yeah, for sure. The Pyro's been up this whole time. There have been a couple towers, especially this one in mid, as Hold That Thought. Baskin is once again in danger, but now with that overextension from the blue team, it's going to actually be Anderson who might face some trouble here. He's taken to the sky by Uzi, but over on the other side, as Anderson falls down, it's going to be the rest of the team. Meerkat takes to the skies. He's going to look to take Crimson, but the slice and dice from Master is going to secure that. Meerkat is forced to Aegis, though, away from the underwater crocodile snatch, but Gamma is going to finally find that kill. Meerkat not able to save himself, but the blink clap from Mast is going to take another kill away from your best buds, and now it's 2 people all by themselves here. Griff is the one who is going to look to find these kills. He takes to the skies to fall back down, but now Aquarius all by himself. He's going to get taken down by Baskin, and now Griff is all alone.
No airstrike remaining for this Jingwei, so he's trying to find some kind of lucky crit or something to be able to get a kill, but it's going to be another one on the board for Baskin, his 5th one of this skirmish as we're seeing. And honestly, Primal Fury just spawned, but I don't think they can do it. We're seeing Mask at very low health, and here we're going to just take a backseat as Baskin is going around the map and getting kills left and right. He's trying his best to peel there for Meerkat, hitting the knockup, but the blink in from Gamma just a little bit too strong, and eventually Baskin's going to make this little wraparound and then make it work. We can already see that Masty's making it work, so if he gets there just a little bit sooner, he might have been able to save Ozzy's life. But at the end of the day, they come out on top, and I think that's all that matters.
And this is really good positioning from Baskin as well. It really goes to show just the quality of this player. He hangs back, he knows he doesn't have the ultimate available for this fight, so he hangs back, just throws out as many water spouts as he can, trying to knock up players left, right, and center, trying to be more of a support player than anything else in that fight, and it really pays off for Baskin and the boys with just that little bit of extra disruption coming from the mid lane.
It has been incredibly good so far, and despite him taking 4 spills this game, he's still 2 levels up on Crimson, who theoretically is one of the best farmers in the game, and speaking of farm, it's just getting taken down and no contest onto that Primal Fury as everybody's kind of more focused on this rotation from Uzzy.
Well, once again, this vision is just doing absolute wonders. We see absolute control of the map over on the left-hand side jungle as Uzzy's pushing forward here. And I guess this is the point where Uzzy is allowed to start playing the game again. He's got Stone of Gaia. He's still playing this Arthur kind of a role where he is just trying to make space for the rest of his team. But I think this could have been done by so many other picks.
I agree. At this point, it's going to be all about them taking out the DPS, and this is the focus right now as the knockup is good onto Baskin. Boulder comes out, second bounce is immune by the wave, and Gino gets knocked up by the dragon.
And it's going to be Erupt who's caged in here with the Dharmic Pillars. Nothing really he can do as Gino's the only one low on Baskin and the boys, but here comes Uzzy trying to find something now. Gamma goes up, but the Beat's going to find him back down. Astro Barrage just not able to find the kill there. Uzzy's pushed back, but I'm not really sure Best Buds have the damage to take him out as the airstrike is prepared. But no! The green light is not given for takeoff, Jingwei. You stay grounded right here. In fact, go under the ground, and we're going to do the exact same thing to your tier 1 and potentially a tier 2 tower.
They were looking to push it, but Annister is here, so maybe the call is actually for the Fire Giant. It's 18 minutes, boys. What's happening? Are we actually doing this? And honestly, it looks like they are, because Baskin's over here zoning the entire team. Well, I guess the entire team, including Annister on the Hercules, but they don't even need the DPS from Baskin. As 18 minutes in, we see the first Fire Giant of the game go uncontested to the boys.
This is disastrous for your Best Buds. We saw Andister really overextend there in the mid alongside his solo laner, and that just created so much space between them and Crimson, and Baskin and the boys were just like, okay, Crimson is by himself, let us murder him. He is a snake. He cannot escape the Dharmic Pillars, and he didn't. And this is really, really well played from them. They take the fire, they take the tier 2, they're backing now, spend gold, buy items, come back and win the game.
Yeah, in theory, right? But your Best Buds are on the counter rotation too, because Gamma was able to take down that tier 1 tower in mid, and the game plan seems to be seal away these jungle buffs, so at least there's a little bit less of an advantage that B and B come into these next team fights. But if you're looking at the gold differential, what's a red buff going to do compared to almost 10k gold that Baskin and the boys are in the lead? I mean, a red buff is nice to steal away, of course, but a whole item would be a little bit better, right?
Yeah, it's like getting the little morsels off of the plate at this point. Best Buds just kind of trying to pick up whatever Baskin and the boys have left lying around. And I guess, you know, they weren't using those tier 1 towers anyway, so who really cares? But the push is going to be on Baskin and the boys, or to clarify, YBB versus B and TB. So, you know, super easy acronyms for us to try and understand here, as both tier 2 towers look like they could be pressured, although this one in the mid lane is definitely going to be the more divisive, as Mast by himself could have potentially getting picked up there by Best Buds, but they weren't really in position to take.
Yeah, Mast turns around the corner there, sees the Sobek, and sees a Hercules, and then sees a Jingwei, and he's like, oh, no, I'm sorry, I'll go somewhere else for a second. And that's kind of what they did, right? They let Mast go, while the entire rest of the team was over on the left-hand side. If they had gone onto Mask, they might have been able to slow down this push and take down the hard carry of this squad, but they've just been so hesitant to go in on anyone here except for Meerkat, who seems to be totally isolated now.
Meerkat really out of position here. Gamma's going to find him with the blink and then some more abilities, but it's not going to matter. He's going to fall down just after taking the kill. Is O'Griff. He's going to find the airstrike this time, but it's not going to matter as the rest of his team are falling down. Crimson falls in the background, and now it's Griff being focused down by 2. Baskin, though, he could be in trouble. Up from the water comes Aquarius, putting the mid laner in the ground, but up and down, up and down. This team fight is happening on all levels of elevation. And now it's Anderson being put under pressure. He's going to be the next one to fall, leaving Aquarius all by himself. But I guess if you want one person left alive to defend, it's going to be Aquarius.
He's full health and mana right now. There's nothing these tanks can really do to take him down, and it's really going to be up to the reset now as Mask goes to just farm. These guys are just messing around here. They know they're not going to get the Phoenix, so, I mean, I guess you could call this a victory for your best buds despite them losing 4 members. They didn't lose a Phoenix, and that's what matters.
They held, and more importantly, they got Fire Giant buff off of Baskin and Meerkat. Now, I don't know about you, Lamy, but other than maybe Nemesis, those are the 2 characters I really do not want having Fire Giant at my Phoenix.
Absolutely. So the fact of the matter that they are respawning, and they still have 30 or so seconds on this buff, there's no shot that they push for another Phoenix Siege. They're more likely to head over to this Gold Fury, and you can already see 4 members have grouped up from both teams on this relative side of the map, but this Gold Fury is already getting shredded.
Bye-bye, Gold Fury.
Way too good.
Did it have a health bar? Are you sure it wasn't like a Kumba passive where, hold on, Max is going to get flipped into the back. Aquarius falls into the water. He's going to take a damage, but Master's going to get hit by the Spirit of the Nine Winds and the Boulder. He's almost being forced into all of these ultimates, but it's still not enough damage. Up into the sky goes Meerkat. He's going to find some shots, but I think Gamma is going to be the first person to fall down into this fight. Uzi going to take credit for the kill, and the rest of Best Buds just looking to run away. Look at Anderson. He's just backing. They haven't found him.
Just so spread out were your best buds. They just couldn't focus down on any target. They committed so much on the Mask, who willingly took the shot there from the Cuckoo, and now there's 4 members collapsing onto Aqua, who just really cannot find a way out. And instead of dashing to his team, he dashed around the backhand side, and look, Meerkat's shown up now, and so he gets that last hit, and honestly, just not the correct way to be dashing at that point. I guess he was just worried that someone was going to block it going back towards his own Phoenix, but super unfortunate there for Aqua. The only member really within striking distance, other than maybe this Ching Wei, piloted by Griff, to be able to do a whole lot. But even still, when Aqua's all by himself, all 5 members of the Baskin and the boys will rip right through his health bar like nothing was even there.
I see what you did there as well with Griff being piloted. He flies. He's a bird.
You know, I didn't even notice I said that.
Well, Baskin and the boys, they're going to look to clean up these right side objectives. Pyro already being eaten up like a mid-morning snack. And Fire Giant not looking like it is much of a heartier meal for B&B. We're just going to clear it pretty much uncontestedly. No one really in position from Best Buds to try and defend this. They're going to pick it up nice and quickly there and look once again to siege up these Phoenixes. Now, I'm not sure about you, Lamy, but I don't think Best Buds have the best defense here.
They kind of do. They have the free clear coming out from the tornadoes, but at the same time, it's going to be really all up to an ultimate from Erupt Crimson. If he's able to take a carry down to about half health, Aqua and Gamma can finish the job. It's going to be really just dependent on that huge question mark, and that's kind of scary if you're Best Buds going up against a squad that has a significant goal lead. So, you know, there is a chance. There still is a very slight hope in the dark, but it's going to be a very, very long shot.
Well, we'll see if they can keep that little candle of hope alive as the Dharmic Pillar's already coming out and forcing out 2 members of Best Buds. Aquarius trying to do his best to defend this mid-tier tier Phoenix Tower as he's going to blink in, just trying to stop it, but I don't think he has the damage. The ultimate's going to come through in mid, but Gamma's going to actually pick up Baskin over in the right-hand side. That could be the key to saving this Phoenix, but unfortunately not. Both mid and right-hand side Phoenixes are going to fall down alongside Anderster, who's going to take that Divine Judgment, and it was not favorable. He's going to get sent straight down into the Nether Realm, and now Griff under some pressure. The shell isn't going to be enough. He's going to fall down to the Nemesis as well. Mast really showing off his chops on this sword-wielding badass. Now it's Uzi just wielding this front sword, stunning out Gamma, but I'm not sure Baskin and the boys want to keep engaging onto this, as Ozzy's going to get flattened by the jump. Gamma's going to take credit for the kill. Master's going to get the return, but it might not be enough. It could be all the space they need. Aquarius, he might fall down, but he's not quite going to. Dashing through the tornado is going to be Mask, but that's going to be his downfall. He's going to fall down. And now only 2 members available to try and take this Titan, and what are they doing? Baskin and the boys, get out of there!
At this point, they've got to leave, right? Meerkat is rolling away, but 3 members are charging straight at him. Aqua's got to 40%, so he will have another pluck really soon, but just out of range, Meerkat is dead. There's no chance he gets out of this one alive, and that was just them hanging out way too long in a place where they really shouldn't be.
Why did they start the Titan there? It was just Gino and Meerkat. Maybe if it was Aquarius and Anderster left, and Gino had ultimate, maybe they could shred the Titan fast enough, but there is no chance in hell that they get that down in time.
Not at all, and you can see here, once we see that King Arthur go down, I don't think you push it any further, and of course the dash from Mask was so close! Just look how close he was, a pixel or 2 off from getting that kill onto Andy, or Aqua rather, but unfortunate for them, not able to find it, and now they've got to reset.
Yeah, just unfortunate. As some might say, squeaky bum time for Aquarius there is... I didn't actually notice. I thought it was the Goomba Stomp that, like, just did so much damage, but it was actually the Sneeze from Crimson that really did the, did Uzi in, as it looks like Best Buds are looking to find something here. They're being really aggressive for a team who've only just scathed their way through a fight, although it's going to be Uzi finding his way on the short end of a lot of these abilities. Crimson is locked in a cage, and he's going to be the first one to fall down really quickly there. Down into the water goes Aquarius, once again looking to find potentially Uzi, but Gamma, he's going to be the next target to fall down. Big wave coming through. He's making waves in the industry as Griff not going to be able to survive in this world. Neither is Aquarius. He's getting put down by the water hands, and that is a deicide at 27 minutes into the game. Baskin and the boys secure game number 2. I mean, is anyone going to be mad at me for saying that? That's just a rundown mid, slay the Titan, win the set.
What just happened?
Death.
The number 1 sin in SMITE is coming out from your destroyed Phoenix and trying to pick a fight up there, especially when you've got fire minions raining down from more than one direction. But they just got wrapped around on. They saw Mask and said, we could get him. We could pick him right here. But they didn't have the vision. They didn't have the info. And they just didn't have the damage. It's going to be Baskin and the boys taking this one in a quick 2-0 fashion. And here's a nice little replay of what exactly happened in that past fight.
Yeah, you can just see here the moment that they all knew everything was over. Crimson falls down, and it's like, well... Yeah, Gamma tries to go in for the fight. There's the kill onto Griff from Baskin. Water spout. Here's, here is my T handle. Here is my spout. He's gonna fall down, and... I mean... A series of unfortunate decisions killed your Best Buds in that game. The role swap, the mistimed aggression, I just... There's
a lot of things that went wrong there for your Best Buds, but overall, they did have some pretty good moments in there. There were times when I thought, oh man, your Best Buds really could take this, but unfortunately their dreams were crushed, just like the wave came from Hubwa. So all of that damage combined really just made it so difficult for them to come through for any kind of W.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. We saw these sparks of greatness from your Best Buds, They knew exactly where to put their pressure. They knew where to try and get aggressive and make these picks. I mean, Aquarius spent the whole first 15 minutes of the game bullying Uzi out of existence. And it's just unfortunate that they couldn't get anything off of that until the game was over.
Uzi just, he didn't exist in the beginning of the game. He got soloed, twice? 3 times?
Yep.
King Arthur... is not really a powerful pick right now. This is not because of the King Arthur that they really found the W, but the teamwork between Baskin and the rest of his boys really just triumphed here in this matchup, especially up against a strange role swap. And I think we've been confused day in and day out by this role swapping. And there's a reason I feel like that you don't see pro-level teams doing this. And that's not to say that any of these guys aren't pro-level. Of course, they are some of the best players in the game, but I think there's a very strong merit to staying in your role.
Absolutely. Like you were talking about earlier in the game itself, it's about building that synergy with the rest of your team. And especially in a role like support, I feel like it's probably one of the most delicate synergy balances you can have. I mean, you're literally joined at the hip with another player for the first 10 or so minutes of the game. And I feel like when you keep swapping around, and I mean, I gotta feel sorry for Griff. Does he know? Does he know what's happening, or does he just go, okay, I guess I have a different support now? Maybe he was really enjoying having Gamma around, and then Gamma left, and he was like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is not the best look here for your best buds, but at the same time, it was a pretty great look from Baskin and the boys. And as always, Baskin just carries in game and out of game. When you've got that man on your team, it does not matter who you're up against. He is always confident and always ready to put some damage on the board.
Yeah, even when he knew that he was going to be completely bullied, he was still being aggressive, still finding these poke situations against Crimson in both games. Finding the damage on Cupid, finding the little bits of poke from Hubwa, just being super aggressive, not giving Crimson any space to breathe.
Absolutely. And I wasn't too impressed by Crimson on this Cuckoo. I mean, there's a reason we haven't seen him recently. He got nerfed a lot. It's time to move on from that.
Yeah, I completely agree. On a different god, maybe we'll see Best Buds do a little bit better. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it from us at the SCC desk this week. But be sure to be back next Friday for some more amazing SCC content.